This is a portrait of Ernest Thiel's second wife, Signe Thiel, painted by Carl Larsson, one of Thiel's most favorite artists. She wears an exquisite black gown of silk chiffon. It is a floral cascade of a dress that resembles the delicate folds of gladiolus petals. She stands alert, on display, as though she has just entered a room filled with guests. There is a white handkerchief in her right hand, hanging like a downward drooping blossom. Her pinky finger is extended like the gently curved stamen of a honeysuckle. And just to make certain that the floral analogy is clear, Larsson painted a bouquet of gladioli swaying voluptuously in a glass vase behind her. Who wouldn't want to be compared to a flower? Flowers are one of the great miracles of creation, the very embodiment of sensuality and all that is wondrous in the natural world. They are extraordinarily diverse in their shapes and forms, and come in every imaginable color. They are fragrant, nourishing, healing, and display the most incredible polymorphous sexual characteristics. But is that what the floral elements in this painting are meant to represent? Are these the qualities Carl Larsson was trying to ascribe to Signe Thiel? Like all tendencies in art, there exists a history to the likening of women with the visually pleasing, decorative aspects of flowers that I believe is not as benevolent as it may appear. Rather, the tradition of comparing women to flowers seems instead to drain them of power and subjectivity, classifying women as exclusively creatures of nature versus creatures of the mind, reducing them to objects of seduction and desire, objects of mere surface value. Furthermore, the complex sexual architecture of flowers is all too often anthropomorphized as comparable to female genitalia, diminishing their infinitely diverse sexual characteristics to our tired binary concepts of sexual anatomy and gender identity. In fact, many flowers are hermaphroditic, some self-pollinate, and some change sex multiple times over the course of their lives. It would appear comparisons between women and flowers do a disservice to both parties. The florality Larsson extends to Signe Thiel encourages us to gaze at her as an object of visual pleasure, fragile, aesthetic, ornamental. Signe's stiff posture recalls the shocked erectness of a freshly cut flower. In contrast, the gladiolus behind her undulates like a dancer, its own posture much more human than vegetable, further serving to conflate flower and woman. Signe is not the only woman Larsson painted in this fashion. Follow me to a room filled almost entirely with portraits by Carl Larsson. Just around the corner, past the stairwell to your right, so I can explain what I mean. At the entrance to the room, you will pass a sketch Larsson produced in preparation for his painting of Signe. Notice that the gladioli in the painting was originally imagined as a single rose. While you make your way to the Larsson room, Matthias and Anna will play the second song Alfvén composed to Thiel's poetry, En enda vad mitt hjärta vivet, a poem with lyrics that glorify the richness of giving one's heart to one person only, to one alone. Signe was Ernest's great love. He left the safety of high society for her, began a new life for her. It was through her influence that he began to collect art and write poetry, It is quite easy to imagine these lyrics as dedicated to her. Flowers and women appear intertwined all over this room. There is a painting of potted azaleas with a woman behind them holding scissors. Her body is almost obliterated by flowers. Her face and petal-shaped collar appear compositionally as one of the blossoms that extend from the plant's branches. There is a portrait of the poet Oscar Levertine, who is depicted against a phantasmagorical background in which flowers and women meld into a decorative motif, allegedly based on themes in Levertine's writing. A naked model sits at a crimson-colored writing desk. The posture and curvature of her body are echoed in a vase of peonies and willow branches, and even in the fluttering curtain seen through the window. Her head merges with a portrait of a woman, perhaps herself, smelling flowers. Who can look disparagingly at a painting of a flower? Who can argue with a man's proclamation of monogamous devotion to his wife? To the right of this image is a painting entitled Rouge et Noir that depicts a woman assuming a modest pose while wearing a rather revealing and avant-garde garment. Is it floral? I can't tell anymore. Everything seems to overlap in this room. Clothes become petals, women's bodies the stems of plants. But look closely. The model wears a strange piece of jewelry, an asymmetrical constellation of gemstones and gold beads, crisscrossing like the complexity of human relations. Is it a map of the true peregrinations of the heart? The loves that begin, the loves that fail, the one loves that become two loves, triple loves, uncertain, paradoxical loves, loves that don't look or feel the same, loves that shine brighter, loves that leave wounds. Somehow her garment and jewelry feel like clues, a secret code that points to a way out of the static world of the woman who is a flower. The clothing is ambiguous. It is on and off, revealing and concealing, complex. It isn't an easy read. Whatever Larsson's intentions, or the fashion designer, or the model herself, I choose to see Rouge et Noir as an invitation to a more complicated proposal of who women truly are, of who humans might be, of what our hearts and affections are capable of, if we are willing to see beyond the simple categories of love and gender we so often subscribe to, if we are willing to accept the boundless, ungraspable power of the flower.